Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a woman and I am currently staying here in Harare, and please hide my name. Do not share my contacts with anyone, and if I happen that I give you sensitive information, please do not share it with anyone. Just try to change some of the details in my confession. So my story, it goes on like this. From a very young age, I was known to be a person that liked to go around sleeping with a lot of men. In those days when we were still growing up, there was no such thing as a blesser. We used to call them sugar daddies when we were still growing up. So I went to this other school that is called Girls High, which is found in Harare. So I had this other friend of mine. She was someone that liked men like a lot. She would be sleeping around with different men. She then told me that she wanted to hook me up with this other rich sugar daddy, in which I agreed, and then I started dating that man. What we used to do was that we would go to clubs, and that man, he was the one who taught me how to leave the house when my parents will be sleeping, and then we would go and drink alcohol. It was not just us drinking alcohol. Me and my friends, what we will do was that when our rich blessers would be getting drunk, we will drink less and wait for them to get drunk, and then we will say we are going to the bathrooms. This will be after another guy will be speaking with you and telling you that he wants to sleep with you. So there at the club, we will go to the bathrooms and sleep with men for money, whilst our blessers will be waiting for us. And we kept on doing this until I ran away from home and I started staying with this other woman. She was an older woman who I had met at a club. She was a prostitute, like a full-time prostitute, because me and my friends, we were doing it only part-time. I then told her about the situation at home and I wanted to be independent so that I can be able to work. And that woman offered me accommodation at a place that is called the Avenues. That is where I started working. Now I was working as a full-time prostitute. Whilst I was working there, that was when one day we were standing in the streets and we were waiting for our customers. Then they came, this man whom I did not even realize was the prophet, a very famous prophet. At that time, he came, he was driving an old car which was like broken down, and we were even laughing at that car as this man, he had parked his car waiting for us to go and speak with him so that one amongst us can go and offer our services to him. We were all scared and he did not want to completely roll down the window. So I then walked to the car after he had pointed at me and he said that he was interested in me. I walked there, and when I got into the vehicle, I then told him to switch on the light of his car so that I can see him. Since it was like really dark, I was scared that maybe he was a rapist or someone that kills women. And then he switched on the light and I laughed and I said, "Ah, it is you, man of God." I immediately recognized him because I had seen him in some newspapers. In those days when I met this man, this was before a lot of people were on social media. There were those that were able and who could afford to be on social media, but most of the people, they still relied on newspapers. So this man, he used to appear a lot on the newspapers, on radio, as well as on TV, because during those days he used to perform a lot of miracles around Harare. Very popular, this man, even though I cannot mention his name. So when I saw that the man that I was with, it was the man of God, he then said, why are you acting so awkward? I don't want your friends to know that you are with me. Just close the door and let us go. We then went to this other place where we ended up sleeping together. And I got so interested in him as he was interested in me. This man, he had money, and it was weird for a man of God to be with a prostitute, but I liked it. And then this man then told me that he wanted me to come to his church since I had told him that my dream was to become a singer. I even went to the studio, this other recording studio, where I had done my album, and the producer then printed out a CD for me. I went and I gave it to him. He listened and he said, "Wow, such a waste of talent. You should come to my church. I want you to be part of the praise and worship." But I was not supposed to inform anyone that we do sleep together. I started going to church, and then I started getting money as I was sleeping with him, as well as being the leader of the praise and worship now in his church. That was how I was making my money. I made so much money, so much that I was even able to buy my parents a house in Harare, as well as to buy my own house at the place where I am currently staying at. But the reason as to why I came here, it is because I have realized that our people are spiritually blind. This I realized from the very first day that I went to that church. I was told to do a confession. So this type of a confession that I did was to tell everyone that I was a prostitute. But when I saw the face of the prophet whom I was sleeping with, the church did not know that. I just said, one day when I was going through this other newspaper, I then saw the man of God, his picture in that newspaper. Then I felt the Holy Spirit as he was touching my heart. What Holy Spirit? There was no Holy Spirit. It was me and the pastor just sleeping with each other. That is why I was going to that church. Everyone believed in my confession. I became part of the praise and worship, and people thought that I had given my life over to Jesus Christ, but that was not the case. I then found out that this prophet, he had been sleeping around with other women as well, and he told me that he does not want me to compete with his wife. As for the prophetess, the prophet's wife, she knows everything. She knows that her husband is a womanizer, but she does not care. She knows that the money belongs to her, for this man has a lot of money. If you want to be given a lot of money by this prophet, at all the times, make sure that you respect him as well as respecting the prophetess who is his wife. Then you are not going to have any problems with him. He told me that this is what he wanted from me. He wanted to sleep with me, and I was not supposed to complain. Then I started to witness a lot of things that I could not even understand in church. There was a particular time when he told me that we were supposed to go on a vacation. I was excited. We then went, and he said that we were supposed to pass through Nigeria on our way going to Dubai. When we were in Nigeria, we ended up spending a very long time whilst we were there. This is what this man was doing. We dropped off in Lagos, and then there were these other Nigerian men that came and picked us up and left us at this other beautiful hotel. And I felt so great by the time when we arrived at that hotel. In my life, I had never made love by the balcony. Me and the prophet, we made love whilst we were looking at the city. It was such a beautiful thing in the middle of the night. And I said, God, I thank you for these blessings that you have given to me. Early in the morning, that was when those Nigerian men came and picked us up from the hotel, and I was told that we were going to drive. We drove from Lagos and we went to this other village where we ended up staying. We arrived at this other place, and I saw that it was a traditional healer's place. We were staying at his shrine. This is what they used to do, because this prophet, in those days, he told me that he had done some things which he was not allowed to do since he had been given his powers that he was using at this shrine. So in order for him to renew the covenant again at that shrine, he was supposed to be humiliated. This is how this famous prophet was being humiliated in front of me. Each and every morning, they would take him and they would drive with him back to Lagos, and he would wear these old clothes that made him to look as if he was someone that was mentally ill. They would leave him there throughout the day, and then they would collect him and bring him back to the shrine until his humiliation was over. We returned back to Zim, and after that visit from Nigeria, that was when he started to perform a lot of powerful miracles that were so amazing. One day when we were in church, I noticed that this man, what happened was that he became a snake. I saw this prophet transforming himself and he became a snake. He kept on preaching and preaching. The reason as to why I am saying that our people are blind, and when I say that they are blind, I mean spiritually blind, for they cannot see the things of the spirit. They could not even notice that this man was no longer a man, but a serpent that was standing in front of them. And these are some of the things that I have witnessed in this church. These are some of the things that I have witnessed in this church. There are people that start to come to this church, they will be okay, but then they will start to get so sick, and the diseases that they will be suffering from, it is only this pastor. Only after you would have prayed for them, then they will be okay again. They can go to the doctors and the doctors can never find anything that will be wrong. And I used to have even some terrible nightmares as well as other people that just come to church. There will be rich businessmen that started coming to this church and then they will go broke. And the funny thing about it is that this pastor, he sometimes tells me that he is so lucky, he is so blessed by God that he can even pick up money from his own yard. I don't know who would have dropped that money at his place. There was a time when people from church, they were complaining and saying that they are losing money. Their money is just disappearing. But then he told me that one day when he was working on his loan, he picked up 7,000 US dollars. And I was amazed at how he had managed to pick so much money from his yard. So these are some of the things that I have witnessed in church. I am still dating this man because he is taking good care of me. I am still going to that church because he offered me a job as I am a praise and worship singer. When you post my story, please tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this in the comment section.